Welcome to Got It Right. This is Will Sanchez. Thank you for tuning in. My special guest today is Edie Perkins. I heard about Edie a few years ago from my physical trainer, Mark Heller. He rushed up to me. Edie Perkins, she's on the Dashing Whippets. Apparently, she and Mark used to run with the Greater New York racing team under the great Bob Glover. Mark said, Edie is the real deal. I said, the Dashing Whippets is loaded with the real deal. Last year, I heard about Edie's accident. Edie had moved to LA for a job opportunity. I heard through social media that Edie was in an accident and she was paralyzed from the chest down. It was devastating news. I also heard that Edie still kept her high spirits. In fact, 4 months after leaving the hospital, she did a half marathon earlier this year. I'm thrilled to have Edie as a guest.
Thank you, Will.
Edie, yesterday they had the Race for Edie in Prospect Park.
Yes,
How was that?
it was amazing. My great friend Amy May organized a fundraising Race for Edie, and managed to set it up in Prospect Park. We had 300 people register, and a great showing. Probably 200 people showed up. I had friends from all walks of life. A friend of mine from when I was 4 years old came in from New Jersey. I had high school friends appear from different states nearby. Lots and lots of runner friends were there. My closest running friends and sort of my first friends from when I moved to New York, who've remained some of my closest friends, came in from Boulder, Birmingham, somewhere up in Maine, and we all got to spend the weekend together, which was really, really nice. And then I had other cyclist friends and friends from my time at Scholastic, where I used to work here in New York. So it was really a great day.
Unfortunately, I couldn't make it, but I kept track of it. And you had great sponsors. All your
Yeah,
New York running teams were
yeah,
there.
the running
The
team.
Dashing Whippets had a banner.
Yeah,
I think Coach Kane's Multisport was there.
yeah. Urban
That's-
Athletics
Urban
did all the
Athletics.
T-shirts.
And the cycling team,
Team Baselka.
Vasilka.
Yes.
I guess they're named after the restaurant. It's a
Yeah, the
famous
restaurant. Yes, the restaurant that's quite famous and has been around forever, down on 2nd Avenue and 9th Street.
I've been there. They make the best is it
Pierogies.
pierogies?
Yeah.
But I wanted to get there was this race in Prospect Park, and the weather cooperated to most.
I know, I thought it was going to pour.
Well, Edie, let's introduce you to our audience. Tell us where you were born and something about your childhood.
I was born in Boston, Massachusetts, and grew up right outside the city. I was always athletic, but played many different sports. The big ones in high school were field hockey and lacrosse.
Did you go on to college?
I did. I went to Antioch in Yellow Springs, Ohio, a very progressive liberal arts school. I played intramural softball, and then I quickly realized that I missed sports. I was always very competitive. So I started doing things like swimming and running and playing racquetball, anything to just sort of get out there and be active.
Good. What was your major at Antioch?
International studies.
International studies.
Yeah.
What does that entail?
It was sort of a mashup of social sciences, so poli-sci and sociology, anthropology, economics, and I focused on Latin America. I was always very interested in Latin America.
Well, good, because lots of things are going on in Latin America.
Yeah, they are.
So you followed things like in Venezuela.
Well, I actually lived in Venezuela. I was there for about a year and a half teaching English and
Oh my gosh, how
living
long
there.
ago was that?
That was pre-Chavez, 1995.
Wow, that is such an interesting country.
Yes,
And now
it is.
going through very interesting times.
It's terrible times, yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay, so after college, you probably wanted to decide a career for yourself. What
Yeah,
was the
I was
first
trying
thing
to
you
figure
did?
that out. Well, the first thing I did was move to Latin America. I thought I wanted to be a human rights lawyer. I interned at an organization that did that in Costa Rica. Did that for a little while, and I decided maybe law wasn't for me.
Uh-huh.
So then I was a little sort of up in the air about what I wanted my career to be, but I thought I wanted it to be something that was focused on international development or something international.
Okay.
I'd also wanted to be a teacher way back when I started college. So when I moved back from Latin America, I moved back to Boston and thought I would go to graduate school for something in international, but took a job at an educational software company. I thought I'd stay there for just a little while I applied to graduate school, but I ended up loving it. So my career remained in educational publishing.
Oh, cool. Publishing books, or is it publishing
I was always
computer
more
software?
on the technology side of things, but some of the programs I worked on were blended technology and books.
Okay, and you did that for how long?
For 20 years.
Oh, that's a long time.
It's a long time.
This is in the Boston area?
I started in Boston. I was there for 6 years working at a company called Tom Snyder Productions.
Uh-huh.
And then I moved to New York and started working at Scholastic, and I was at Scholastic for most of my career.
Okay. But at some point, you're a well-known runner and a cyclist too.
Yeah.
So when did the running become a little more serious?
That was right before I left Boston. I ran to stay in shape, so I'd do 3 miles here, 5 miles seemed like a really long run. I was usually pretty proud of myself. And then one night I was at a party and a friend of mine said, "Hey, you should do this marathon with me. I just signed up to do a marathon in Alaska." And I thought, a couple of beers in, and I thought, "Oh, yeah, I'll do that." And I woke up the next morning and I was actually still kind of psyched about it. So I found a training plan online, started training for it. I didn't know anything about what you're supposed to do for training for a marathon. I remember I'd do like a 12-mile run and wouldn't have a sip of water the whole way because I didn't know that you were supposed to drink while you ran. And I'd get back and just guzzle a whole liter of Gatorade. Anyway, I did my first 14-mile run, and I called up my friend. I was like, "Hey, how's it going? I think I might be actually doing this with you."
Alaska.
And she's like, "Oh, I got to 10 miles. I hate running. I'm not doing it." But I was way into it. So I got my mom to come with me, and the two of us went to Alaska. It was a mother-daughter trip, and I did my first marathon. It was a tough one. There's like off-road and a lot of climbing, I think, hills. Did it in 4:06.
Obviously, you enjoyed it.
I did. I was hooked, actually. As soon as I did it, I wanted to do another one.
So what was the next step after that?
You'll laugh at this, too, probably. It was Bermuda.
Bermuda. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. Now the weather is warm, I guess.
A lot of people that did Alaska, it was probably 90% team and training people.
Oh, so how you met them?
Yeah. So when I was out there, or even when I was flying out there, I think I sat next to someone who was also doing the race, and that person explained that, "Oh, team and training, it's great. You raise money for a good cause, and you get training, you get a coach, and you actually learn about running," all the things I didn't know. So when I went back to Boston, I quickly went to an informational session by Team in Training, and
They're great.
one of their races was Bermuda, so I signed up for that.
Excellent. Did your mom join you for that one as
No,
well?
I went with just the Team in Training friends for that one. It was great. I wanted to qualify for Boston, so I set my target for 3:40. I actually wanted to do better than 3:40. My goal was 3:30 for that one. And it was pouring rain. It was just felt like a salmon going upstream. Like it's pretty hilly in Bermuda, so be going uphill and water would just be pouring down.
Okay, the odds weren't with you.
But I did it. I did a 3:30 on the nose.
3:30.
And I ended up coming in third overall. So I got swept away and drug tested and won $1,000. So after that, I was definitely hooked.
Really, they tested you?
Yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah, it was
I don't
pretty
think they
funny.
normally do that.
They had prize money and some elites, but luckily they only had 2 elites doing the marathon, and I managed to squeak my way into the 3rd spot.
Only your second marathon, you already wanted to Boston qualify, and you did.
Yeah.
by 10 minutes, so you were PQ 10. I don't know if they had the PQ designations in those days.
Oh, I don't
Because
know.
now they've changed the qualification for Boston qualification
Yeah.
to cover so many people.
Yeah.
Because even though you were Boston qualified, with
Mm-hmm.
so many people, you couldn't get in.
Even there's so many people qualified.
So now
yeah.
they if you're 5 minutes under, or 10 minutes under, 15 minutes under, the faster people will get priority.
Right, right.
So with
I
BQ
would have
10,
gotten
you
priority.
were guaranteed
Yeah.
entry.
Yeah. Yeah, back then it wasn't as hard.
Okay, you went to Boston, I guess.
Actually, so the race was in January, the Bermuda race. So then right after that, I moved to New York City. And I wanted to, keep working on getting faster. So I looked online and I found Bob Glover's Roadrunner training speed class and quickly signed up for that. And then
He's great. He's retired now, but been in his heyday, especially the women's team, flourished under him.
yeah, we had a
And-
great team.
Great. And I think under his tutelage, you did New York a few times.
I did, yeah. I did it 4 times when I was on Greater New York.
And 3 of those 4 times you did it under 3.
I did.
Oh my God, this woman is fast. So Mark Heller was right, the real deal.
That's when I was the real deal, yeah. Yeah.
But,
And Mark was on my team.
Okay. Now, I was reading somewhere, you also cycle. You did an interesting one from Portland to Brooklyn.
Yeah, I did.
Well, tell us about that.
So back in 2010, I got married to a cyclist, and we decided to have our honeymoon be a cross-country bike trip.
And it started in,
We flew our bikes out to Portland, Oregon, and started there, rode north, and then dropped south through Colorado, back north, and finished at our house in Brooklyn.
how many days?
It took 58 days.
That is
It was something like 4,600 miles.
46. That is fabulous. So how many wheels did you go through tires?
No, it's amazing. We only had 3 flats the whole way. I think we changed tires at the halfway point, so we'd have fresh ones to
Wow.
get us through the rest.
Now, that's something you really enjoyed doing?
Oh, I loved it. I think I loved it way more than my husband. Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
And it reminded me of a marathon. There were so many days where it was slow going because we were carrying all of our luggage. I think our bikes weighed something like 75, 80 pounds.
Wow.
So 13 miles an hour would be a pretty good clip for the day. So it'd take a long time. And I just remember some of the days trying to picture like the end of a marathon and, how I'd do that and how that would help.
So did you, I guess occasionally you would check into a hotel?
Oh, yeah. We thought we'd be camping a lot more than we actually did.
Are there many campsites between Portland and Brooklyn?
There were times we'd just park it in the middle of town and go to like a town square or a little park ground in the middle of a town.
Logistics must have been interesting. So who was the logistical person, with keeping
I
track?
was the map planner, and he dealt with the bike stuff, keeping them clean, that kind of thing. He's much, much more inclined to do that. And we had a basic route that we wanted to do, but we'd rework it just about each week, and then we'd plan for a week.
Was there anything exciting or threatening happening?
Oh man, there were a few days, yeah. The first day was probably one of the hardest. First of all, we'd never practiced riding with 80 pounds, all that luggage. So we got out there and we were kind of wobbly. And in Oregon, they let you ride on the interstate. So the only route we could go was on I-84.
You're kidding.
And there was one part, we had to go through a tunnel. And we had to walk our bikes, and we're wearing, shoes with the pedals.
Oh, the pedals, yeah.
So they're slippery. And there was a little sidewalk that was about this wide at an angle. So we had to walk on that with our bikes down below. It was all, really heavy, and trucks were flying by. And So that was really hairy.
Ah, did your parents know about this?
They weren't that thrilled. They're like, can't you go to Tahiti or something? Oh, I
do
loved
that.
it. And yeah, I wanted to do it
Okay.
again, or maybe go to another country that had better food and scenery in the middle of it.
All right, you're back to Brooklyn.
Yeah.
When did you join Team Vasilika?
Oh, Veselka.
Veselka.
That was later on. That was right the year before I moved to California.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Big move.
I was on a couple different racing teams
Because
before
you're
that.
also on the Jonathan Cain's team.
I was on a triathlon team for a while.
Okay.
And then I moved into full cycling. I was on Casina, and then Comedy Central had a women's
Comedy
racing.
Central?
Yeah.
Sounds comedic. Why Comedy Central?
They had a really good women's racing team.
Okay.
So there were a couple teams that
Okay, so you got around.
I got around. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you discover the Dashing Whippets?
So I stopped racing bikes and I wanted to get back into running. This was when I was 40. So I went back to Athena, was the first team I rejoined when I got back into running. It was a women's team, mostly masters. We had a really strong masters and grandmaster, whatever they call beyond masters.
Grandmasters,
The
I like
vets.
that.
And raced for, I think, 3 or 4 years, and then the team decided to stop being a team.
Okay.
And so I looked for a new team and joined the Whippets.
Ah, and then Mark Heller was just great.
And Mark Heller, yeah,
This
he's
is
like the
great,
real
great.
deal.
And
I don't know if I was the real deal anymore, but
Oh, this is in Brooklyn now, right?
yeah, I lived in Brooklyn, and they were such a big team and had the Manhattan side, and they also had a really good Brooklyn
so you were
side.
the
So
Brooklyn
I
side.
did all the Brooklyn workouts, and we did Tuesday nights, Thursday nights, Saturday long runs, and
Okay.
yeah, met some
And
really great
That's
people.
great. Building your running resume again,
Yeah.
and you're working at Scholastic,
Yep.
and then I guess an opportunity presented itself at LA. Is
Yes.
that what happened?
Yes.
So what happened there?
So I decided sometimes I had an itch to do something new, go somewhere different, somewhere with a lot more access to the outdoors. And a job opportunity came along in LA. At first, I didn't think I'd take it, but then the more I talked to them, the more I decided I wanted to go. And worked at the company for about 8 months before they decided to shut down the thing that they were so excited about starting up.
Oh, it's a startup.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, it was a startup, but they were mostly a consumer business, and they wanted to start a school division.
Okay.
And then they sort of
Didn't
backpedaled
work
and
out. Ran out of money or something happened.
they, decided that it was too hard
Okay.
and let a bunch of us go.
Okay.
So then I started my own consulting business, and that was going well. Hadn't even been there a year. I moved out there in May
Of
2016.
Okay.
And once I got out there, the cycling was so amazing. I did a ton of cycling, met a lot of people, and was riding every weekend. Couldn't wait for the weekend to roll around so I could get out and go into the mountains.
Uh-huh.
And then when I got laid off, I started doing even more cycling, and I could do, since I started a consulting business, I had a little bit more flexibility with my schedule, and I could go off on
You were
these.
your own boss.
Yeah, I could do, 2-hour rides in the morning, and it was fine.
Uh-huh.
So one day in April, I headed out on a sort of standard morning ride, and
This is in 2017, last year.
2017, April, and just headed out on a ride. I was only 2 miles into it, and a car drove straight into me.
Oh my gosh. The story was the driver was blinded by the sun.
The driver was blinded by the sun.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it just,
I was going straight through an intersection and coming down a hill, so going fairly quickly, and she was making a left-hand turn coming from the opposite side and T-boned me, drove straight
wow.
into me.
Did you lose consciousness?
I thought I did, but I recently discovered that I was alert the whole time. I just don't remember
Okay.
anything.
Who got to you first?
The driver, she stopped and ran over to me.
She must have been hysterical.
I think she was probably hysterical. She didn't even realize that she'd hit a person. She thought a stoplight had fallen out of the sky because she
gosh.
felt the impact. And then she
Yeah.
pulled over and saw a body in the road.
Oh,
So
gosh.
she ran over. She's a nurse, so she knew what to do. And I guess I was trying to get up and get to my bike. And
yeah.
she said, lie back down.
So the ambulances came and it,
Yeah, another person ran over who was leaving. She was actually turning left to go into her job at a hospital. So another nurse was leaving work and came over as well. And
oh,
I think
gosh.
it was 10 minutes before the ambulance got there.
Oh, gosh. How did your parents hear about this?
When I got to the hospital, they asked who should they call, and I had them call my dad and my ex-husband. So
All right.
my
You didn't have road ID on you?
No, I didn't. I had my license in a little bag, a little
Oh,
something in my
gosh.
pocket.
At that point, what were you thinking? That you were,
I mean,
hurting, obviously.
yeah, I think they do a good job with pain management, so I was a
Okay.
little out of it. But yeah, I quickly realized that I was paralyzed. I hoped at that point that it was temporary.
Uh-huh.
But I think a couple days in, I pretty much knew that it was probably not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it is a permanent condition at this
Yeah,
point.
that's what the doctors say. You never know, but it's a complete spinal cord injury.
Okay, so from the chest down.
Chest down. So no core, which makes
No
things really
core.
difficult.
Okay. So what got you through it? Was it your religion, your friends, your family? I mean, this is devastating.
Yeah.
I mean, your family obviously
My
is beside
family's-
themselves.
Yeah, they were beside themselves. They were by my side the whole time. They stayed for probably 5-6 weeks. And they were amazing. The outpouring of support from, I couldn't even believe, I mean, it's overwhelming, but the outpouring of support from the furthest corners of my life, running community, cycling community, scholastic community, friends from high school, from everyone came out, and people have been so supportive from the time of the accident, through yesterday was just more, yesterday was amazing because I got to see, I actually got to see the people. And,
yeah, that is tremendous. But we all know about insurance companies and hospitals. Who helped you navigate through all that? I mean, that in itself is a stressful procedure.
It was so stressful. As if paralysis wasn't bad enough, just trying to figure out, what am I supposed to do? How do I deal with insurance? And it's really amazing. I mean, now I understand how how all of that works. But when I was there at first, I didn't know the first thing about, how to navigate any of that. It was actually a Whippet colleague who stepped in and offered support, and really she works in insurance and was able to help me navigate. And Athena teammate also helped me with some questions, and yeah, people just jumped in to help.
That's great because insurance people, social workers, that've been in the business can guide you.
Yeah, I really feel like the social workers at the hospital should come in and give you a little tutorial about navigating the healthcare system.
Okay,
Because
so with little help from friends.
Help, so much help from friends and family. Yeah.
In fact, when you were having your race yesterday, there was a sister one in Portland support group.
And there was also one in Sydney, Australia.
Really?
Yeah, one of my GNY teammates who's Australian and now back in Australia got a little race going there too.
Oh, that is so wonderful.
It's amazing.
You think they'll do the race again next year?
I hope so. It would be just so I can see everybody again, and yeah, it would be great to do it again next year.
Because now you still live in LA.
Still live in LA.
You have your own house.
I do.
Okay, and I guess you were able to fix it up.
Yeah, because of the GoFundMe and all of the support that I've had from friends and family, I was able to modify it, and and now I
That's
can
great.
live in it.
Well, you know, you say friends and family, but a lot of strangers.
A lot
as
of
well.
strangers. It's
Do
the
you
whole
do them-
cycling community, running community,
It's amazing.
friends of friends.
Then just earlier this year, you did your first race as a
Yeah.
hand cyclist.
I was introduced to hand cycling and wheelchair racing really when I was racing as a runner, an able-bodied runner. And pretty much as soon as I was paralyzed, I knew that was something I wanted
Ladies
to
and
do.
gentlemen, we've got Edie Perkins starting the race right now in her hand chair. Let's give her some encouragement.
Ready, Edie?
Ready.
All right. Set and go.
It means a ton to me to be able to have the Naples Daily Half Marathon be my first race back. My accident happened 8 months ago. I got out of the hospital 4 months ago, and I haven't really had that adrenaline, endorphin, inspiring activity, so it feels really good to get back out there. It was great. It was amazing. My teammates from Veselka bought me a hand cycle, and I was headed to my parents in Naples, Florida for a month over the holidays, and I knew that would be a good place to get started. It's flat, and they live in a sort of low traffic area. So I spent 3 weeks training for this half marathon.
Great, the Naples half.
The
and in
Naples
fact,
half.
you inspired them to start a wheelchair division.
Yeah, I
because they
kind
didn't
of
have
had to
one.
fight my way in, but once I did, they were very supportive and really, really helpful. And next year, I even found a competitor.
Great, so they agreed to have a wheelchair division
Yes,
ongoing.
they did.
Listen, on that note, go Naples. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you, Will. It's great talking to
It
you.
was a pleasure. You know, good luck.
Thank
All
you.
the best to you.
Thank you.
Thanks.